All right, let's begin. Bonjour à tous et bienvenue to this webinar where we are going to mainly talk about how to crack the TEF Canada exam, especially the new format, the format that was introduced in December 2023. To discuss this particular topic with us, we have a former student at BBarters. Her name is Myra, and just a couple of months ago, she successfully obtained a score of CLB 7 and plus in TEF Canada exam, the new format. She did attempt it twice, the new format, because actually Myra was studying with us while there was still old format in the previous last year of 2023. So then she had to readjust a little bit because TEF Canada changed the format of reading and listening test primarily, and she prepared for the new format. And it's not easy, I believe, Myra, because very little public info was there, let alone a lot of practice tests. So many congratulations, Myra, first of all, on your success. And if you don't mind, let's start the Q&A part. Like, I will ask you some questions about your experience, about preparation, and then experience during the exam, and what advice you have for the students who are currently prepared for this exam. Make sense?
Sure.
Okay. So let me just perhaps I'll also pin you so that people also see. Okay. Fair enough. Thank you so much, first of all, for joining. If you can just tell all the students what was your score in the exam, the TEF Canada?
Yeah. Thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me because it was a really struggle to pass this exam, and I would love to share all the tips there so that others can also succeed and achieve their goal to get the Canadian PR. That is the our major goal to clear this exam. So for my scores, I had B2 plus in
Mm-hmm.
all, and in writing I had C1.
Mm-hmm.
I scored C1.
Okay. And during this exam, when you took the attempts of this new format, which
Yeah.
section did you find the most challenging?
Actually, Kaustubh, honestly speaking, if we like ignore any section, that would result in the loss of the points in our like in my first attempt in this new pattern. I was pretty sure that I would clear the speaking, and when I didn't practice it that much, and then I lost the mark in my first attempt in the speaking. I was like pretty sure about that I would clear. So I would say anything, every part, each one, listening, reading, writing, and speaking, everyone is equally important.
Fair enough. And so, for example, how did you re-prepare your?
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you. So, since you know firsthand that the format changed back in December
Yeah.
2023, because prior to that, the reading and listening exam were in some other format, and then they primarily changed mostly, I mean, reading and listening. So,
Yeah.
how did you account for that? C'est-à-dire, like, because you were preparing in one direction and then you had to prepare again for reading and listening. So, what did you do to get ready for this new format, especially reading and listening?
For reading, I consider that it's pretty easier than the previous format.
Mm-hmm.
Now reading is much easier, but listening is a real challenge now. Because I can see a lot of students are struggling to clear the listening now time. So for listening, what I did was I tried to watch some news like for France 24 and some news, and I can see sometimes I used to see that their transcripts to understand. But I must say everyone should dedicate some time on the speaker on the listening every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like you should not skip it even a single day. Listen on a daily basis. That was the key. I used to listen for 30 minutes daily,
Okay.
even if I'm not understanding it.
Okay. So that's more like
You're again
okay.
on mute.
No,
Yeah.
no. So that's more like you did not care that much about the changes in the format, but you really
Yeah.
focused on like doing as much listening as you possibly can. Okay.
Yeah, focus on the listening skill. If you are good in listening, then you can clear the exam, because the transcripts or the audios are played only once in this new format. So if you are good in listening, then yes, you can surely can do this.
Okay, fair enough. Uh, Coming back to like the major obstacles that usually are, like for example, speaking and writing section. How many total number of practices did you do? And let's say, let's combine or section A and section B. So how many practices did you do for speaking and writing respectively?
For speaking, our session with my session with BBarters, it ended on around August, I think so, August 2024. So from after
2023.
August till my next attempt,
2023.
2023, yeah,
Yeah.
2023, August 2023. So from that, it was like 6 7 months. I used to practice with my this batchmates on daily basis speaking. For speaking, we did that on daily basis for all these 6 7 months.
Okay.
And for writing, I at the start I used to do it like twice a week,
Mm-hmm.
both sections. And then I when I was close to my exam, 1 or 1.5 months before my exam, I did it daily, both sections, section A and section B. So in total, I had around 100 plus writings
Total 100 plus
for my
writings.
exam.
Okay.
Yeah,
And what
for
would,
if I compose section A and B.
if we combine section A and B? Fair enough, but because
Yeah.
you have to write separate section A and separate section B, so makes sense. How about what was that number for the speaking practices? And then again, let's combine section A and section B.
Speaking practices, you can also say those were around 100 plus. We used to day section A one day and section B another day, and that's why we were doing that alternatively. So, yeah, it can be 100 plus.
Yeah. So again, that number varies from person to person. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I usually say that around 50 is a bare minimum. And here, when I say
Yeah,
50,
that would be the minimum. Yeah.
yeah, we are combining the section A and section B, of course. Um,
Mhm.
so let's go back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit when you started learning French. Were you a complete beginner in French? Did you have any uh, earlier knowledge of French?
No, like I started it from scratch.
Okay. Um, and at any point of time during this journey, which was almost at least a year for you, I would say minimum 12 months
Yeah,
from
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
Okay. So during any point during this journey, did you feel like this is too difficult? This is, I don't know, like this requires too much effort. Maybe it is not possible for me. Did you feel like giving up at any point of time?
Not giving up, but yes, it was really difficult because it's a really new language. It has a lot of a language we cannot like master it.
Hmm.
So just we can learn it somehow, and like learning a new vocabulary, new words, accent is different, pronunciation is different.
Hmm.
So it was a really challenge for me to learn a language from the scratch. But with time, I had the motivation. Like I have to do this. So if you are motivated enough
Hmm.
that you have to do it somehow, anyhow, you have to do it. Then you can, yeah, keep you up motivated. And some at some time, it felt like yes, I cannot do it, or like I'm missing something. But like I would suggest everyone else, like one thing that I thought that I will tell everyone, that what Kostub says, what Kostub encourages you during your sessions, you should really like you should adapt it. Because one thing you used to say that if at B2 level you are practicing only for 2 hours at B2 level or close to your exam, that would not suffice
Hmm.
at that level. You used to say that, and yeah, that thing like that clicked in my mind. And close to my exam, I used to study like 6 to 8 hours per day. So yeah, that was one thing that you used to say, and that I implemented it, and yeah, it really helped me.
Let's go back when you started the program, which
Yeah.
at that point you were completely beginner in French. So how much did you study? And you don't tell us about the entire 1 year. Like earlier, how much did you study? We are talking about number of hours per day, and then how much did you study after? And then at the end when you just mentioned that the last couple of months, 2 3 months, you were studying close to 6 to 8 hours per day. But tell us
Yeah.
about the entire like journey. How much did you study?
So in my A1 and A2, like in both these levels, I was studying 2 to 3 hours per day, and I wasn't practicing writing and speaking at that time. I was only doing listening and reading. And then in B1 level, I started writing a little bit and speaking, like some sort of self introduction. And I used to write and then speak with my classmates. So a little bit practice I started in B1, and in B1 I used to study 4 to 5 hours. I gradually increased the hours, and from B2 up to my exam, I did study um, six, sometimes 6, 7, 8, but minimum was 6 hours. That was the minimum level that I had targeted for my everyday.
Okay, fair enough. Now, these are the questions that we get from time to time during our interactions with the students. So many times people start studying French or learning French, and let's say 3 4 months down the line, they they say that they are not when they listen to a movie, let's say on Netflix or a podcast, they're not able to understand anything. So, and that really troubles them that, oh, I have spent already 3 4 months in French learning French, but I'm not able to understand this movies or podcasts. So what would you say to them if they come, let's say you are the teacher and they ask this question to you, what would you say to them?
So this is the issue of the listening, that they cannot understand it. So for listening, to improve the listening skill, firstly you should start with the like slower videos that in which the like easy French, and some videos in which they speak very slow. And if you have the transcript, first start with those. If you can if you feel like you can understand them without any subtitles or transcripts, then it's good to go, you can move forward. Like you can go to the news, because news are not that fast as compared to the movies. In movies they speak like in a really casual way, where they can like mix up the pronunciation of different words, so it's really difficult to understand a new language in the movies. So in the news they do speak really clearly. So news is one of the best source. I used to listen to news for 30 minutes every day. So when I started to understand the news, then I thought that like, yes, now I can move to the C1. So there is one like Radio France RFI. There they have C1 level videos also, C1 C2 level. So now you can check there your level at there, that if you can understand C1 or C2 level videos or not. So
Let's
gradually you can gradually move.
come back
Yeah.
from even level, because as I said, I always in this scenario I always advise that as similar thing that you said, that let's start at Edito A1 textbook, which has also the audio
Yeah.
exercise, but they're really they start at Jamapel, Jamapel Kaustu or
Yeah.
something. So you know the vocabulary, and that it's a
Mhm.
confidence building measure that you cannot
Mhm.
directly expect yourself to understand uh, a movie or a podcast or
Yeah.
anything like that. So you should rather start with Edito A1 textbook listening exercises, and then slowly you train your ear. Like you train your
Yeah.
with level like A1, then A2, then B1, and so on and so forth. But yeah,
Mhm.
it will be really nice if you, as you said, RFI. That's the one resource that
Yeah.
you. Do they have like? I imagine they have some like on their website. Perhaps they have audios for different levels, like A2.
Yes.
Okay,
For
so I think
every level they have. Yeah.
great. So I think we would eventually advise the students, all the people who are interested in this exam, to to watch or to explore such websites like RFI, where audios are available of different level, so they can start at appropriate level and then go through the
Yeah.
gears rather than just listening to something which is high level and then like that,
Then you will be completely lost. Yeah. You
and
that
that
you
kills
can.
the confidence also. Like that really
Yeah.
is come in, and that really is a troublesome activity. Okay, now another question that always is asked when we begin our journey, all of us, we have very limited vocabulary, right?
Yeah.
Parfois, on dit aller, venir, devoir. Uh, so these are our go-to verbs. So we try to they
Yeah.
say like je peux, je veux. Like we keep this basic.
Mhm.
How does one increase the vocabulary level? What do you do to increase the vocabulary level?
To increase the vocabulary. So first resource is the editor itself. Editor has a a vast variety of the vocabulary. You can like find almost everything there. If you do up to B2 level. So, in B1 and B2, they have like higher grammar and higher vocabulary level. So, one thing is you can use editor and all of its vocabulary. Even in their passages, you can find different words, and you can like try to uh, try to use these in your speaking and in your writing. So, one source is editor, all the up to B2 level, and the other one is like I used to read a lot on the news and the real fediverse, the like actual that they are publishing the fediverse, I used to read those. So in that way I grasp a lot of terms that are specific to the fediverse that are used in actual grounds, and also a lot of vocabulary I can learn from there. So vocabulary I think is usually learned by reading. If you do a lot of reading, and then you can learn a lot of new words and vocabulary.
So the related question to this will be that even if you do read a lot and you study edito perhaps very religiously, very with a lot of focus and attention, how do you remember stuff? Like you might read or find out a lot of things, but how do you retain it?
Yeah, that's a really a challenge, because in start I did that, just like used to read everything and then I forget it. Like I cannot remember it. Everything I cannot remember. So one strategy that we devised, we were like group of four, and we devised one strategy. We used to prepare one presentation daily or weekly, and on editor. Every chapter I have a presentation prepared. So it's just 2 or 3 slides. There you have different words that are like of high level words and their meanings. So it's really easy to go through those slides, even instead of opening a book and then reading it again and again. So if you want to remember a word or a phrase or some idiom, then you can write it. Anything that I found helpful in my reading the articles and fediverse, I used to write it on my register or something where I can easily like go through. So you used to like you keep on writing and noting down those things, and then you after 1 week or 2 week just open up any page and then revise it. That really helps.
So yeah, that is a good answer in a sense that uh, notes making, whether you did it with presentation, somebody could do it with their register pen and paper.
Yeah.
uh, so as what you're saying is that just learning and understanding is not enough, we have to document it. And
And
another way,
revise.
yeah,
Yeah.
another way you found it is that this is a good topic to now come to, is study
Mhm.
partner. It seems to me from your previous answer that you had a small group of students. Were they from BBarters again, like from your program?
Same, my classmates from the BBarters. We were four. Yeah.
So so that helped you to study with other students, you would say?
Yeah, it was really helpful because they were as of the same level as I am. Because they were my classmates and they were also keen to like pass this exam. So we were really regular. Especially one thing is like regular in our. We had one speaking session after every like our B Butters class, and where we practiced. So initially we had a topic and we we used to like have a debate or something, and then we practiced on the exam. So it's really important to have a study partner. If you don't have it, then you cannot practice speaking. I think it's like you cannot practice any other way, because we are not living in any francophone community, so it's like really important to have a study partner.
Yeah, that totally I agree with that. At the same time, one other thing that comes up many times in the question and answer sessions is that um, when you practice writing or even speaking, if there is no teacher available all the time, because see,
Mm-hmm.
we do have live sessions in BBarters, like activity session where
Yeah.
there's some correction, or Adito group study session where also there is some teacher, uh, like to moderate the session. But it's not possible for anyone, to be honest, to have a teacher around for every day for 3-4 hours, like
Mhm.
yeah. So that's not possible for teachers, and even if you have a lot of money, perhaps it's a bit impractical. So if you have limited exposure with a teacher, uh,
Mhm.
so one thing that I have observed because of this reason is people don't do speaking practice, or people do writing practice, because they say, hey, nobody's there to correct my stuff, so why should I write? Or nobody's there to correct my mistakes in speaking, why should I speak? Or for
Mhm.
example, if they have a study partner from their program, they say, yeah, but this, I don't trust this guy or this woman's level, so there's no point in doing practice with them. So how did you counter that?
Just for speaking, like again, a study partner is required. You correct their speaking and they correct yours. That's the only way. If you don't have any teacher, or if you cannot spend money on like different websites learning French. So yes, one thing is the study partner for speaking, and for writing. What I used to do, because I did not had any teacher, so how I corrected my writings was I used ChatGPT, and I like wrote a sample answer or an answer, and I put it in ChatGPT. It corrected me, and it also suggested where I'm standing, what is my level. It also told me according to the TEF and TCF standards, like what is my level. Initially, it used to say like I'm the beginner, then it said intermediate, then intermediate. Advanced, intermediate, something like that. So you can correct your writings. That's not an excuse. It can correct you, and it can tell you the level also, where at what level you are standing right now. So that's one way.
I like this answer so much, because as I said, just to small correction, you said you didn't have you had teachers, but again, teachers are not available
Mhm.
every day
Yeah,
and
sure.
every hour of the week, and that's just practical limitation. But yeah,
Mhm.
thanks to tools like ChatGPT, they can help you. See, no tool is 100% perfect.
Yeah.
Sometimes perhaps the AI tools will fail to understand the context that you're writing, right?
Mhm.
So they might flag some mistakes which are not mistakes, because they don't understand the context, right? So those things you have to take into account while using
Yeah.
any of the, but at least they enable you to get maximum or majority of corrections, and they give you some sort of feedback. So
Yeah.
uh, I think that's a very good answer, because I would like to suggest the same to all the students. Like, not having somebody to correct your work, either speaking or writing, doesn't should not become an excuse not to try or not to practice. Because I would like to say, Myra, and maybe you can pass a remark on that, is language learning is not just about being right or wrong. It's also
Yeah.
about practicing, and not afraid of committing mistakes. Like,
Yeah.
if you are just waiting to be perfect, or if you are just waiting to be at CLB 7 level before you can speak or before you can write, then that's never going to happen. You have to
Mhm.
start, you have to accept that you will make mistakes, you will be imperfect, you will struggle. You have to accept.
Mhm.
And so, what I like about your group, from that batch of yours, the BBarters live prep program batch, is you guys, even though you were not at CLB 7 level when you started, you did not care about that, and you just kept on studying. So the studying
Yeah.
and practicing part was the most important. And eventually, obviously, if you keep up like you did for 6 to 8 hours a
Yeah.
day, then I have no doubt that you can achieve the objective that you're looking for. Okay, let me just take some questions. If we can take some questions, guys, just to keep it very like, how do you say, in a disciplined manner, because we don't have infinite time. If you can type your questions in the chat box, then I'll just read out the question, and then we can. So we'll take, for next 10 minutes. We'll take some questions from the audience. You guys have any? Uh, okay. So this is the first question. It seems that she's done her due diligence very well. How did BBarters help the journey?
BBarters has helped me a lot. Like as I have shared, like I started from scratch. So through my journey, one thing I like the most about the BBarters coursework is like it is very specific to the exam. You don't have to like you don't have to wander here and there like searching for what you have to do, what thing you should do and what should you not do, because language is a really vast and you can find a lot of things. So one thing is their coursework is really organized, and it's organized in a way that it takes you like literally from lower level to the higher level in a really gradual way. So their like program is really like well organized. That helped me a lot. I used to revise even after my B2 level, after completing my whole language learning from BBarters. I used to revise all my notes that I have prepared, all those exercises that I used to get from the BBarters. I used to just go through them so that I don't forget it. So it's really well organized. And one thing that I should advise to everyone, that whatever exercise, quiz, and assignment is assigned to you by BBarters, you should do it. Even if you are late by the timeline, you must submit it. That really helped me. Sometimes I was also like late to submit the assignment, but I used to submit it somehow. Whenever I find the time, you must do all those exercises and assignments that are really helpful.
Okay, let's take some more questions. Thank you, by the way, for those nice words for BBarters. Let's uh so one question is from another friend of this person gave the exam recently in Canada, and they did not get enough prep time for the speaking section. Like they're talking specifically about the speaking exam. So can you give us a little bit about like what happens in the speaking exam? Like how much time do they give to prepare once they give you the paper, the advertisement? And can you write? Do you get a blank paper where you can write something, or how does it go?
No, actually, that what also happened with me in my first attempt. In my first attempt, I was thinking like they will give me 1 minute prep time, but I didn't get any. They just handed me over the paper, and she started the recording and said like let's start. And I read the question while speaking. So that's what happened in me in my first attempt. That's why I failed in the speaking. I lost my marks in speaking in my first attempt. So that's where I had to do the
But
second
usually,
one.
just to interrupt here, sorry. But
Yeah.
even in their official website and all the prep, like everywhere they have mentioned that you get 1 minute preparation time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's written, but sometimes you don't get it. So in my second attempt, when I was preparing for the exam with my classmates, so we practiced like we will give each other the question and we will just start speaking right away. We won't give us each other the time. So that's how we prepared ourselves for anything that can
Yes.
come up in the exam.
Eventuality, okay. But during the second attempt, did you get 1 minute to
Yeah,
prepare?
I get enough time. She was really nice. The examiner second time she was really nice. She read the question, then she asked me what I understood. So she was really helpful. She was really nice.
Yeah, actually, that's a small variation that happens in the exam experience. Like I
Yeah.
remember my first. I also gave second two attempts, by the way, back in when I
Mhm.
cleared the exam. So my first attempt, the lady was very nice, very friendly. She, calmed my nerves. Spoke a little bit in French. Like so I got 4 or 5 sentences out of my system. So you start shaking and you
Yeah.
stop stuttering and stuff. And she was very friendly, just a friendly person, friendly vibe. So I was very. That was a good experience, even though I only spoke for 7.5 minutes in second. But second time, in my second attempt, which was much more important for me because for me it was like do or die, pretty much the second attempt. Like I wasn't ready to study even couple of months more. I had not
Mhm.
that energy. So second attempt somehow my strategy was enter the room, like the examination room, and greet the person. Bonjour, comment allez-vous? Je suis vraiment nerveux. C'est vraiment important. Just I had my sentences prepared. Like I'll just throw it and get some French out of my system so that I feel confident, and then we start. But the lady was like, "Okay, start recording." Once they press the recording button, you really can't fool around because that is
Yeah.
recorded. So I couldn't do any of that small talk, and I was little bit shaking in the first 30 seconds. But because I'd practiced so much. I had also practiced about 50, 60 sections. I almost knew how to start. Like it was almost autopilot. So even though I was shaking a little bit, I could recover in 30, 40 seconds, and then it went. So yeah, but usually, having said that, Myra, I would say most of the students that we interact with after they give their exams, they do give 1 minute of preparation time on most of the time. So it's very rare that I heard that they didn't give any time at all. Okay, so let's go back to the next question. Um, so I'll just take this one, timelines, because you gave two attempts, as you mentioned. So what was the timeline like? How much was the time gap between first attempt and second attempt?
My first attempt was in January, 26th of January 2024,
Mhm.
and second attempt was in 3rd of April 2024.
Okay, so it was almost like 3.5 months of gap.
Around, yeah, you can say 2 months, around 2 months.
26th
Because end
January
of
and
January and start of April, 3rd April.
yeah. So okay, whatever, like
Mhm.
3 months or 2 months and a half. Okay. So
Yeah,
was something, so February, March, yeah, 2.5 months. Yeah, you're right. Two and a
yeah.
half. Yeah. So was it conscious decision on your part to keep it to that 2.5 months duration, or the duration between
Yeah,
the
I think because you should not prolong the time period, because you start to come ease taking the things easy and you start to forget something. So the like if you have a timeline, close timeline, not too close, like even 1 month, two
Mm,
or 3 months timeline, then you are prepared. Like, yeah, I have to like struggle through these 2 3 months more, and I will give the next attempt. And yeah, if you take a long gap, then you start to forget the things and the verbs that you have prepared for. And the gap should not be too small also, because you don't get enough time to prepare. So it should be like optimized.
okay, fair enough. Now, one just curious question. So during the first attempt, what was your scores, if you remember, just the CLB levels?
Yeah, in my first attempt I was B2 in speaking only. I like my
So like
speaking
CLB
was 430
six,
something.
6, not 7. CLB 6, not CLB 7.
Six, yeah, CLB 6. It was CLB 6. And in reading and writing, it was CLB 7. And in listening, I scored CLB 12. So it
CLB
was
how
C2.
much?
12.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna ask you any questions on that, but yeah, sorry. You must have known the questions in advance. I believe. No, okay. Let me take. So we don't take any credit for CLB 12 here. Okay. So let's go to next set of questions. Um, so yeah, the question is, Inderjeet asks, what was the total duration of the journey from the point where you started, like from scratch, and then the second attempt and the April. What was the total duration?
So it was 1.5 year. 1 year I took for the language preparation, and then for 6 months I cleared the exam.
Okay,
In
so
6 months after
including
that.
both the attempts and the time duration between the
Mhm.
attempts. Okay. Um, then another question is, what was yeah, so Vishal asks, what do you suggest for beginners who don't know anything about French? What should be their roadmap? And again, it's a very generic question, but if you can summarize, because you started like that with zero background in French. So if you can give us some advice, like what should you and what kind of mistakes they should avoid, if you know.
Like for beginners, it's not a strict thing that you have to follow something, but yeah, they have to be consistent. One thing, they have to be consistent, because in the beginner level you lose your motivation. Yeah,
Mm,
if you when you are at B1 and B2 level, then you are fairly confident enough that you can do it. But at A1 and A2 level, to keep up your motivation is a really challenge. Because you don't know how to speak, how to write, that's really annoying sometimes.
mhm,
So yeah, you have to keep yourself motivated and keep going. Just like I said, study 2 hours per day.
mm.
Anything, learn to you try to learn some vocabulary, some new things that you can. And one thing that, yeah, I'm saying that try to do every practice and every quiz and assignment that is assigned to you. That's good enough for the beginners.
Fair enough. I'm just going to take a couple of more questions from the So one common question seems to be the strategy for listening and reading. So it seems very generic. So I'll make it easy for you. What I mean by that, let's just focus on when you are in the exam and when you are doing the simulations of exam, right? So did you, because what I tell students is that even in exam, even after studying for 1 year, let's say, there is not going to be a situation where you understand everything. Like in
Yeah.
exam, you it's not going to be situation like, oh, I understand all the sentence, all the words, and then I'm so confident of marking the ABCD choice. So
Mhm.
considering that fact, what was your strategy for listening? Like how did you, without understanding 100%, and how much did you
Mhm.
understand, if you can roughly some estimate, how much did you understand of the entire, let's say on an average 1 minute audio, how much did you understand percentage wise? And how was there any strategy, like for example, just to give you an example, I would really really read the options well, like I would totally understand the options well, so that whatever I understand, if I can find a match between what I understood and what
Mhm.
I read, I can just mark that answer. So how was it?
It was like like you have said, in this new pattern you get some time before the audio is started, so you
Mm,
get a fair time to read the all the options. Sometimes the options are long, but if you have practiced yourself through different simulations, because I used to do a lot of listening practices, so through those practices I have trained myself. I didn't used to give myself a time to read the question when I was practicing listening for the exam.
mhm.
I read the options while listening the audio and answering it. That's how you like, as hard you train yourself and your ears, that the easier will be the exam. That's the thing that you
But
should do.
nonetheless, in as you mentioned, in the exam itself, you get fair amount of time.
Yeah,
I would even say generous amount of time to read the question and
to
the
read the
option.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that that happens because now in the new format of the TEF Canada exam, they have only one time. They play the audio only one time. Whereas
Mhm.
earlier version last year in 2023, at least 45% of the questions they would play audio twice. So that was a
Yeah.
huge advantage in TEF as compared to TCF. But now they have
Mhm.
made both exams very similar. So you only get to hear the audio once.
Yeah.
So did it ever happen, just asking out of curiosity, that in the exam, because they play audio only once, for some reason or another, you lost the focus and I don't know, you zoomed out, or you read the answers or the options, but you did not understand anything, so you got worried and you, I don't know, it's like mismatch of concentration and you just did not get anything in the
Yeah, that's the thing. If that happens, then you really surely lose your point. Because if you if your focus is diverted and you don't focus on the audio, yeah, that at that point you can really skip the thing that you need to be answered. So the one thing that you should not do is like to shift your focus at anything else. When
Mm,
you are listening to audio, you should not even read your options. That's one thing, or the
mm,
questions. You should only read the option, because you should only listen the audio when it's played, because you will get around this almost the same time after the audio to mark your option. So you can, if you have left any one or two option, uh, you just skip to read before the audio is played. Like if the options are longer and you cannot read all the options, you have just read only two options and your two options are left, just leave them. Only
mm,
focus on the audio. And when the audio is finished, just remember some basic points, some numbers, some important things that are being said, like 10% of the population or something like this. These important figures, just remember these while listening the audio. And when it's finished, you can like read the other two options and then choose whichever is correct. That's one thing that you can do.
fair enough. Okay. Somebody had put in a cheeky question. Myra, did you score CLB 12 in the listening in both the attempts? I would almost know the answer for this, but I would let you answer anyway.
No, in my second attempt, this one thing that I would advise, like don't be confident about anything or any part of your exam. When you are confident, there you lose the point. Even, or I can say overconfident. I was confident about my speaking in my first attempt and I lost my points there. in my first attempt, and I was confident about my listening in my second attempt. But I got CLB 7. Yes, I got CLB 7, but not CLB 12 in second attempt because I was confident that I can do it. And I practiced listening less in my second attempt. And that's where I get the result that I practiced it when I was conscious in my first attempt because of the pattern change. I was really conscious and I was really anxious about that, like how I was sure that I cannot clear the listening when the audio is played once. So I was over conscious and I practiced it so much. So there I get the result. When I practiced it, I get the CLB 2 12. And when I didn't practice, sorry, CLB 12. Yeah.
You
So
don't from 12 to 7 to 2. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, just
so here
uh,
that all that matters is your practice. The more you practice, the more is your CLB score.
yeah. So one more couple of questions about Nikhil says that do they have a timer during the speaking exam, and do they let you know like when your 5 minutes are up for section A and the 10 minutes are up for section? Do they make some sign, or how do you know that the time is done? Like you're done 5 minutes of section A?
Yeah, they have timer on, and they like indicate somehow in section A speaking. They say like we have some other call, so I have to go.
Okay,
So
okay.
something like that. And in the section B, they just agree with your point of view.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
they
the
just
indicator.
because you're trying to convince them, they just agree with you, and that's how
Yeah,
you know that it's time to wrap up.
it's finished. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Let's take some. We are running out of time in like we're gonna stop in 14 minutes. So I'm gonna try to take as many questions from student. Let me go through this. So did you make while we are training yourself for the listening, did you make any notes while listening, like 1 word or 2 words? Like for example, when you're I'm not talking about your exam, we're talking about your training. Like did you make any simple notes, or like how did you, or you just listened and focused more and more on understanding it?
Yeah, when I was practicing for listening, I didn't make any notes because that would also divert your attention. So
Hmm.
when you're listening, just listen and try to understand any word that you can grasp. Initially, as I was saying, I said that I used to listen to the news. I couldn't even understand the basic words from the news, and I trained myself to listening. I just try to like catch up some words that I can understand. Initially it was like that. Then I started to like get some or two three words from each line, and then I was at one stage that I could understand all the lines and everything that was being said in the news. So just train your ears, as you have said, that train your ears.
Okay. Now another question is that Sandeep asks, did you have any tutors for exam specific speaking practices, or did you take just BBarter speaking workshops? And if you did take that workshop, how many times did you take it?
I took the exam specific preparation course with the BBarters that helped me a lot, especially in my writing and speaking. It was really helpful for me in those two sections because my writing was corrected by a person, not a tool or any AI tool. It was corrected by a person, so I get a genuine feedback. And also in the speaking, the same thing. I get a genuine feedback from an expert that could correct my speaking also and give me some like more advice to make it more better and fluent. So I took this one course from the BBarters after my language course.
I do not remember. I myself don't remember. Did you take any workshop? Like, do you remember those speaking workshops where we just take practices?
No, no, I didn't take any workshop, but I took the exam specific
Okay,
preparation course.
fair enough. So did you? Since you did not take that workshop with us, did you do those practices outside with some other trainer or something? That's I think that's what she's trying to ask this student. Like how, because
No,
you mentioned those that you did 50 or 100 practices. So where did you do those practices then?
I did those practices with my classmates. So
Okay,
we were doing because after B2 completion, we all were at the same level and we all were like at B2 level. They were also attempting and they got CLB 6 something level. So they were at my level and we would correct each other by using those like our knowledge.
fair enough. So so this another question, and but guys, please remember that we will stop in next few minutes because we have to be mindful of the time that Myra is has for us. So I'll just try to take few more questions and then we'll wrap it up in last 5 minutes. How did you study the verbs? Like, did you study them? Which, like, remember the? But I will take one question from YouTube. By the way, we also are going this. This stream is going on live on YouTube. So a question from YouTube is that where did you give the exam? Like, which location, if you can? I guess people are scared that you don't get 1 minute preparation time, so they don't want to take the exam there. So, where did
So
you take your first attempt and where did you take your second attempt?
when I didn't get the time, speaking time, it was in Dubai.
Hmm.
And the second attempt in which I cleared my exam, it was in Abu Dhabi. So both were in UAE, but the city was changed.
Okay, so yeah, pay attention to the city. Okay, so that was question from YouTube. So I would ask my moderator, if you get more questions from YouTube in next 5 minutes, please let us know. We'll try to answer that. So coming back to the internal audience, how did you study the verbs, especially the verb combinations, like they see they the like verb plus preposition combination, because that seems to be a topic that really is not liked by many people because not just remember the verb but also to remember which preposition it takes. So how did you tackle that?
Yeah, that's where the cramming helps. So you have a resource in BBarters. We have a resource where there are a lot of different combinations are provided. So I just like crammed them. I used to like revise them again and again, and all these like it goes with the and it goes with and everything. Like it is followed by calca shows and it is followed by calca and something like that. So you have to cram that these things, the combinations, especially which is followed by which one, and there is a lot of practice that be barters that is being done for all these combinations. So just do those resources. I think that would be sufficient enough. And if you have to go beyond that, then you have to learn from the different reading resources. If when you are doing, you can just like focus on what is being said and what verb is followed here and it is used in which combination. You can do your own calculations also.
um so Avnin has a question, like, in the exam, in the writing test, so you have this virtual keyboard, sort of like to put in
Yeah.
accents, and you also have limited time for the writing exam, which is 1 hour in total. I think nowadays in the recent editions they split the timing, like they give you I think 40 minutes for section B and 20 minutes for
No. 25 and 35.
25 and 35, 35 minutes for section B and 25 minutes for section A. So uh, is it bother, like, is it annoying to put that accent using that virtual keyboard? Like, does it take more time, or did you actually practice for this before? So how did you prepare for that?
Yeah, and initially it was a like difficult thing to press the that button and then the keyboard will appear. Now in the new pattern, in my last attempt, it was like it will be there. You don't have to press again and again the virtual keyboard. It will be there all the time. And one thing that you have to practice, yes, I used to write on the those translation websites like Reverso and all these. You have to like press the those accent words with accents. You have to, when you are writing on them, you have to press the
Button.
words with accents. And also in type it, you don't use like short keys. Don't use
Yeah.
short keys. Just practice writing on the actual exam simulation based
So like
scenario.
frenchtyping.org, on that site,
Yeah.
don't use shortcuts, just practice type, like writing the word and pressing that key to put the accent. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think that's one strategy. Like if you are giving the exam, um, before exam 1 month, you can spend some time on using this online editors like frenchtypeit.org, and you can try to put in the accents by pressing the correct button so that you get used to it a
Mm.
little, I would say, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What about keyboard shortcuts in that exam editor? Don't they have
No.
keyboard shortcuts?
No, initially they had keyboard shortcuts, but they were really difficult to remember. So
Okay.
in the exam, if you are trying to remember that, then you lose your time of the
Yeah.
writing. So it's
Right.
better to practice with the mouse by clicking the key, all those words. It's better
So
that you
just one
practice that.
very specific question to this. So usually, let's say you are writing désolé, which is D
Mhm.
O accent aigu. So do you have to select mouse with mouse the E alphabet and then press the key? How does it work, if you remember?
No, it's there. Just E with accent AU.
Ah,
It's there.
okay,
Just have
okay.
to press that.
So you have to type the D and then press that E with the accent aigu, so it automatically adds the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing it will come up.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, okay. So that's that. But it didn't bother you. Like it didn't take a lot of time. It didn't disturb your calculation for time management.
No, because I practiced it that way. When I was practicing myself, I used to put on the timer. So I
Okay.
practiced it like I will complete my writing for section B in 30 minutes. So I used to
Okay.
complete it in 30 minutes by clicking all those accent words.
Fair enough. All right. So we'll take one last question from the YouTube side, and then we will stop. So So pronunciation. When somebody asks on YouTube that are they strict with pronunciation, like how would you rate your pronunciation while giving the exam? Like, did that matter a lot? The pronunciation in French.
Yeah, the pronunciation matters because you are also marked for it, the pronunciation. So it's really important that you focus on your pronunciation. Even from the start, someone asked for the beginners, so it's really important for the beginners that they set their pronunciation at a specific level because once it's fixed, then it's fixed forever.
Yeah.
So some words say the they, and that they it never goes. So yeah, you have to fix it from the start.
Okay, fair enough. I think Myra, we have to conclude this session as I can see that you are getting a bit busy. But thank you so much. I couldn't thank you enough for joining this session, Q&A session, and answering so many questions by the student as well as my questions, which are also representative of the questions that student asked. I hope that this was very useful for the students because we discussed a lot of questions about the exam and preparation and general in general. We also discussed the timeline, which was around 16 to 18 months for you, right from the
Yeah.
point that you started, from complete beginner point of view. So thank you and congratulations once again. I hope that your Canadian immigration process, I think you already got the COPR or even the
Yeah.
stamp. Okay, so just note, you guys, since she worked so hard and took around 16 to 18 months when she began, for some reason, after submitting the documents, she got the COPR in 2 months, right, Myra? If I don't,
Yeah.
in two
Yeah.
months,
From ITA to COPR, it was 2 months.
from ITA to COPR, like the stamping of the visa or like that ready for
Yeah.
visa email, it took her 2 months. So basically, if you don't worry about the timeline. Focus solely on your preparation and hard work and consistency, and then things shall happen. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And bonne soirée. Merci et félicitations, Myra.
Thank you so much, Kosto, for you and of Team Barters that they helped me a lot in my this journey of learning French, and it was really nice journey learning French from BBarters, and I would recommend taking your course to everyone. Anyone that asks me where did you like studied your French, I recommend that yeah, at BBarters, and they have very well organized course. So I recommend everyone that they take your course extensive prep program. That's really helpful and it's really exam specific. So yeah, thank you so much
Thank
and
you
all
so
the
much.
team leaders.
Thank you once again. Thank you for these kind words. I have some questions, but I'll answer them myself. So we shall
Yeah.
let you go at this point. Thank you so much, and bonsoir. And one last thing before you go. Even if your Canadian immigration objective has been achieved, we would highly encourage you not to lose touch with French. C'est une très belle
Yeah.
langue et ça va être trop utile pour vous en termes de votre parcours professionnel ou n'importe quoi. Alors, je dirais que vous continuez à apprendre la langue française et je suis sûr que ça va vous aider beaucoup quand vous êtes là au Canada. D'accord?
Ah oui, bien sûr. Merci
D'accord.
beaucoup.
Bonne soirée.
Bonne soirée.
Yeah, I'm just going to answer a couple of questions that we couldn't answer so that guys don't feel the live prep version of the program. So we will I don't want to take I just wanted to keep the Q&A specific to Myra and her journey. But if you have any additional questions, please do email us. I'm just going to mention our email ID, that is info@bbarters.com, and we will surely respond to your specific questions accordingly. So we just have to stop now because we're running out of time. Even I have to go, but that is not to say that we'll not answer any additional questions. Just please drop an email on info@bbarters.com and we shall respond. Just keep in mind that this particular week, starting tomorrow, is a Diwali week for us. So we are not working this particular week. But even after that, even having said that, we will definitely answer all your questions. info@bbarters.com, and we'll reply in detail as soon as we come back to work after the Diwali, mini Diwali vacation. Thank you once again for joining for in this webinar, and I hope you got some useful information about TEF Canada exam preparation. And if you are already preparing or studying, je dirais bonne continuation. C'est ça. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Je vous en
Merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Je vous en prie.